Howdy, howdy to everyone watching this post. I hope you're all having a lovely day. Before people start joining and obviously asking all the questions and stuff, just going to do the usual. If you're in need of any of my help whatsoever, the links will be down below in the description. You can see that'll take you to my website where you can see the services I offer to help you basically create the life that you want to live. If you're in need of any personalized tarot readings, Katie's Etsy is linked below. If you're interested in the Subliminal app to get a promo, to get a discount on it, that's also linked below. I need to actually start working out a better way to do all of this, like summing everything up, because I definitely don't. I definitely don't do it in the best of ways. I feel like there's more that I need to say, but off the top of my head, I can't think of any. So if we could all like the video, obviously that's really important. It just helps us push it out. Let's see if we can hit that 50 viewers today, max, while it's live, I suppose. And yeah, I'll get into the questions. So Satyam says, hey, howdy, howdy. Matt Schwartz says, hi, howdy, howdy. Natty J says, yay, I made it. We're glad to have you here. And Summer Rain says, hey, howdy, howdy. I hope you're all doing very well. Oh, Natty J has just donated two US dollars and with a little sticker saying, hey, you. Thank you very much, Natty J. I really appreciate the donation. It's very kind of you. And hey, you to you too. I think that's the earliest donation that we've ever had in a live stream. So I really appreciate it. Pranverse says, hey, brother, howdy, howdy. Satyam says, I have a question. If I want to make a stranger my ex, even though it's just a stranger, I have a question. If I want to make a stranger my ex, even though it's just a stranger, what do you mean? So, like, all of a sudden they'll just become your ex? What do you mean by that? Mr. The Almighty One says, aren't commenting tonight, Matt, as I'm just watching. Okie dokie. I hope everything's good on your end, at least, even if you aren't commenting. I feel like I did have something that I wanted to say or like announce or something, but I can't remember off the top of my head. Apologies if you hear all like the walking around and the clanging and stuff. Katie's putting the kids to bed, so she's obviously doing all of that. Kiati says, hey Matt, what's your say on dating someone while manifesting SP back? I think if you want to do it, it's perfectly fine. By the way, if you wonder why I'm looking at my phone, it's because I'm just doing all like the posting it to Instagram, so don't think I'm ignoring you. I think if you want to do it, it's perfectly fine. I have done it in the past where I've like dated someone while like trying to manifest someone else and had success and stuff. So I think it's definitely something that if you want to do it, you can do it by all means. It's all up to sort of you, I suppose. You know, like it's not going to like ruin the process, so to speak. But if you don't feel like it's good for you to do, if you don't enjoy it, then don't. But yeah, from an LOA standpoint, it's perfectly fine. Just going to post this really, really quickly so I don't get distracted because I can't do two things at once. While I'm doing this, one thing that I can do is say that right now, one of my shorts is like absolutely blowing up. Like I was doing some work earlier on something else and it said that I'd like 40 views in the last hour. And then I went to sort this live stream out, set it up, and it was like 300 something views. And I checked in the live stream, not the live stream, the short is like absolutely blowing up. So that's really cool. It's always nice when a video starts to go viral, especially after it's been posted. When it's just been posted, it's like, oh, yay. But then afterwards, you're like, this is like a whole new world of opportunity. All right, so that's now posted. Sweet. If we could all like the video, like the stream, that would really help. Satyam says how to make your own affirmation. So obviously I did do a video on this a couple of days ago, and I will even link it here for you now, or in a second when I get to it. But there's four things that I like to include into my affirmations. I like to incorporate gratitude at the beginning. So I will say like I'm grateful for, or I give I give thanks to infinite supply for. So that's like sort of how I begin it. And then I am. So I'm grateful for the fact that I am in a loving relationship, for example, or I give thanks to infinite supply that I am in a loving relationship. Just a couple of examples. And then I like to explain the experience. So I am grateful for the fact that I am in the most loving, passionate, committed relationship. And then I'll add a final part where it's like beneficial for everyone. So I'm grateful that I'm in the most loving, passionate, committed relationship with Katie in the most amazing way that benefits everyone. Just as an example, obviously that's a very brief overview. And I like to categorize them like that because I like to make sure that I'm basically covering all bases, where it's like the I am. Could you possibly post that video on here? I was like trying to find it, but I couldn't do it quickly. It's like how to create your own affirmations, or the step process that I use to create your own affirmations, something like that.
Okay.
No, it's a long form. And yeah, so that's like kind of how I like to do it. Gratitude, I am, experience, and then great, beneficial for everyone. And that's how I frame my affirmations. And the way that you can decide what you want to affirm is what is it that you actually want. So obviously, if it's a relationship, you want to be in a loving relationship. How do you want that relationship to be? So like I just described, loving, passionate, committed, for example. So then and then you'll put it all together. So I'm grateful that I am in the most loving, passionate, committed relationship with enter specific person's name in a way that benefits everyone. That last part you don't have to do. I just like doing it. But yeah, that's how you can sort of create. That's how I create my affirmations. But an affirmation can literally be as simple as I'm in a relationship with person, or I am working my dream job as title. So, but that's what I find works best for me. And Katie is going to link that video hopefully very soon for you to watch. And if you do watch it, make sure to drop a like on it so it gets pushed out.
Sorry, it's not any comment. Oh, there you go.
Okay. Natty J says, I'm a 5th grade teacher and I find it harder to stay on my affirmations because I'm so busy / tired. Any tips? But when I'm on my break, it's much easier. So it's one of those things where it's like, if you're not really focusing on your desires, you don't necessarily have to affirm as long as you're not thinking the opposite. Because I understand sometimes it is quite difficult. Like when I'm writing, because at the moment, I don't know if I mentioned it, but I'm sort of starting a second business venture. So at the moment, I'm doing a lot of business plans, marketing plans and stuff like that. So when I'm doing that, I find it very difficult to have my mind available to affirm. So obviously it's not the same role as what you're doing, but I kind of get what you mean, where you can think, but you can't like consciously affirm as well. And I find that it's okay to just not, like, in those moments when you're like busy, it's okay to just focus on what you're doing because it's your dominant state that manifests. So if you don't have any thoughts while you're doing your work or while you're being a teacher, then there's not really any thoughts in the opposing. Like if you had 10 thoughts and then your mind goes, let's just say blank, for example, your mind never goes blank, but let's just say that you don't think of your desire the entire time that you're teaching, you still have that X amount of thoughts prior. That means that when you're done, you can just go back to affirming afterwards. But yeah, and if you're like tired or if you do find that you're very busy, is maybe try to schedule times to do them. So like the morning, maybe on your break, just as you get home before you do anything else, you just take some time to do them. And then maybe in the evening, just as an example. And then at least you've got structured times where you know they're coming up, you've got the time to do it, and you can kind of just relax as you do so and focus on the affirmations themselves. And then the rest of the time while you're going through your day, if you can't find the time to affirm, or if you're just genuinely too busy to affirm, just keep an eye on your thoughts. So if you find your mind wandering naturally to something negative, just make sure you flip it. If you find your mind wandering into the positive, just let it do its thing.
Sorry, I'm like jumping around.
Yeah, I know.
The sofa is really uncomfortable, and I can't find a nice way of sitting that is comfy.
Emma says, I can't stay on my mental diet. I hate this. I don't believe it's possible to recreate my SP. Well, it's one of those things where it's like you may not feel it's impossible. You may not feel it's possible, and that's exactly right for you. Because if you're having this perception that it's not possible and you hate the process and you can't do it and everything, then that's exactly what you're going to get. Like I said in I think it was my most recent long form video, manifestation is working at all the time. So if you're the title of the video was something like how to manifest anything you want without fail, or the key to manifest everything you want without fail, or something like that. And in it, I referenced the fact that you're always manifesting without fail, but the idea is to manifest what you want without fail. That's where it becomes a little bit trickier. So if you say you have this statement, just here you've affirmed 3 things. I can't stay on my mental diet. So you're affirming that it's not like good, easy for you. You hate this. So you're affirming that this process is not fun for you. And you don't believe you can recreate SP. So it's going to be very difficult for you to stay on your mental diet, enjoy the process, and recreate your SP when you are affirming the complete opposite. So in fact, you are actually manifesting perfectly fine. You're manifesting exactly as manifestation works, just unfortunately not in the way that it works for you. So if you want to have a different experience, you need to start presenting a different experience. You may not be able to control when or where your thoughts come from, but you can definitely control A, the words that come out of your mouth, B, the words that you type on a page or on a comment section, and C, the way you end those thoughts. If you start a thought with something negative, you can definitely end it in something positive. And if we're going in terms of dominant state, they're at least going to be 50-50. Because if it's like, oh, I can't get my specific person the way I want him, but then you end that in no, actually I can, just for argument's sake, that's 1 for each, which means you've kind of just leveled yourself. And then you got to be proactive with what you're doing as well. So unfortunately, you will be getting exactly what it is that you are claiming there, and the fact that it's hard and you don't like it and all those sorts of things. So Start adjusting the words that you speak. If you find yourself thinking, oh, I hate this, or oh, mental diet is hard, say, no, that's not true for me. I love this process. It's so easy for me to stay on my mental diet. And I am actually already experiencing the best version of my specific person. Satyam says, hey, can I become extremely handsome and very hot and very good looking? Absolutely. I did it. I was such an ugly kid. I was so ugly. It's unbelievable. Uh, but yeah, it is entirely possible. If that's what you want, then focus on that already being the case. Instead of saying, like, well, obviously I know you're asking the question because we're in a live stream, but outside of the live stream, make sure that you're thinking, I'm already handsome. I'm already hot. I'm already very good looking, and just relax. You're on a mad one today.
It's so uncomfortable. I don't know what is wrong with it.
KAB17 says, Wagwan, howdy, howdy. Summer Rain says, can you talk about changing how your SP sees you? So everyone as you pushed out is basically the way that you perceive yourself and the way that you see others will see you is exactly what your experience will be. This is why sometimes people have amazing self-concept, but their specific person might not treat them so well. And it's because they'll have this version of their specific person in mind. Like as in he doesn't like me or doesn't treat me so well. So if you want to change the way that your SP sees you, you first need to identify how you actually want them to see you. So if they currently see you as lazy, for example, you want to go, okay, how would I want them to see me? I want them to see me as ambitious and driven, for example. So then you need to start claiming yourself and seeing yourself as ambitious and driven, and then claiming to yourself and seeing them as seeing you as ambitious and driven. And the more that you persist in this, that's how you will change the way that your specific person sees you. You need to change the way that you see yourself and the way that they see you also. And you can do this through affirmations, visualizations, scripting, embodying the state, any kind of technique. Just as long as you are telling yourself this new story that they do already see you that way and you already see yourself that way, then that's what your experience will become. Emma says, how to clear limiting beliefs. I find it's hard to stay on mental diet because of my limiting beliefs. Oh yeah, I did. Sorry. Natty J says, hey, Katie.
I've been waiting for that one so that I can say hey back. You're not going to forget.
Emma says, how to clear limiting beliefs. I find it hard to stay on my mental diet because of my limiting beliefs. I will affirm and then the old story keeps popping up. It's a constant battle and I'm fighting myself. So sort of what, like I said to your last comment a second ago, you may not be able to control where your thoughts come from or like how they come up or when they come up, but you can control A, how they end, and B, the words that come out of your mouth. As long as you are catching them and saying, no, that's not true for me because this is my experience. Or even, I see what is being shown, but this is all old story. I know that I'm in this relationship, or I know that I'm XYZ. Then you are going to be creating it. Limiting beliefs are not actually, they don't exist. Limiting beliefs, well, they do exist, but they don't. So let me hear me out. Limiting beliefs only exist to you as an individual. Limiting beliefs do not actually exist in the grand scheme of things. If we reference any scripture thing, when you pray, believe you received it and you shall have it. God makes a way when there isn't a way. When one door closes, another opens. All those kinds of things. None of them say you must first get over your limiting belief or you must first deal with the obstacle in front of you for you to have your manifestation. All they are saying is believe in the end result. Literally tell yourself that you're already living this end result. Pray for it, which in our sort of terminology would be to affirm, script, visualize, do whatever it is to get you into the state of the wish fulfilled. And trust that it's done. So limiting beliefs actually do not exist. You guys, well, not you guys, obviously everyone does it to some degree. People put limiting beliefs on themselves as sort of a reason for why they haven't got their manifestation. It's their logical reasoning mind creating reasons for why it can't work, why it hasn't worked, why it won't work. But they actually don't actually exist. You can still manifest anything by just focusing on the end result and claiming yourself to already be in that end result, because your subconscious mind is kind of, as Florence Gogolshin says in her book, or books, she references it in all of them. The subconscious mind is like the power of electricity. It is an extremely powerful source, but with no direction. So once you direct it through a current, or like that's how you can turn the light on, for example. Same thing with your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is waiting for you to give it the orders so that it can then push it out there for you to experience. Well, it's not really waiting, but you know what I mean? It's there waiting for orders. And your conscious mind is the one directing it. You don't need to like work on every little thing in between where you are to where you want to be. You just need to simply direct that power source to your end result by claiming yourself to be in the end result and letting anything in the middle dissolve and make way for your end result. So how to clear limiting beliefs? If you really, really feel like you absolutely need to, you can sort of write them down and work out what they are and then start claiming the opposite. So if your limiting belief is you can't change your specific person because manifestation doesn't work, for example, you can write that down and then write down the inverse. It is extremely easy for me to use manifestation, or for me to experience the reality of my specific person being the way that I want them to be. And then you'll start to like really take that into work on that limiting belief, and then that will obviously get over that one, and then you can work on the next one or the next one. But in reality, you don't need to actually work on any limiting beliefs. And I think maybe the fact that you feel like you need to work on limiting beliefs, or you're focusing too much on the middle and what's going on right now instead of your end result, is probably why you feel like you're having a constant battle, because you're claiming yourself to be something. But if you were that something, you wouldn't be acknowledging the 3D to be the way that it is. You would simply just be in a place of acceptance and allowing your desired reality to come, which is why you're fighting yourself, because you're in two states at the same time, or trying to operate through two states at the same time. Jurga, apologies if I said that wrong, says, Emma, there are multiple realities and multiple versions of your SPs. In some of them, your SP is already perfect for you. Tune into this and study quantum physics. It is good. Exactly. It's a very much shorter way than I put it, but it works exactly the same. Your end result is all that matters. The middle, the limiting beliefs, the blocks, the what other things, obstacles, anything, any terminology that you have between where you are to where you want to be, none of them actually exist in the grand scheme of infinite power. You can just create what you want to by just focusing on what it is that you want to create, as if you're already experiencing it. Top FJS says, hey, Matt and everyone. Hope everyone is doing good. I'm doing very well, thanks. I hope you are too. Katie put in the link to my video where it was talking about how to create affirmations. So if anyone's interested in that, click the link and like the video when you go over there, if you do. And if you could all like this while you're here, that would be really helpful as well.
Click it after we're done. Watch the whole live first.
Summer Rain says, can I ask Katie how she changed how she sees you while you were manifesting her back? Was it just an instant change in her thoughts?
Yeah, okay. So I have mentioned this a few times, and each time I feel like I explain it better. So I actually quite like being asked again and again, because I think the first few times I was very iffy and stuff. But basically what was happening was I was kind of like battling an internal like voice sort of thing, which like everybody has, and everybody has that whole do this, and it's like no. So that was what I was like dealing with. So I had like completely made up my mind. It was this was the best thing for us. We were definitely separated, blah blah blah. But for like days and days, I'd have this like, you need to reach out, you need to do this, you need to text him, you need to call him. And like so many times I'd like pick up my phone and actually be fighting, like typing it out and then being like, nope. And then one morning I had plans to do something entirely different. And I had like just an instant, this is what I need to do today. I'm going to drive to his house. And I just got in my car and off I went. And, there was no questioning it. There was no like, oh, is this the best thing to do? Is this, I mean, like as I got to, because he lived about 35 minutes drive from me. So as I got like 2 minutes away, I suddenly had this big like, oh, what if he's not even in kind of like thing. So I phoned him. But other than that, I didn't have any kind of doubt in my mind that that was the right thing for me to do right then. So yes, it was very much a switch. There was little bits before, little like, you should text him. And it was like, no, sort of like arguments, if that makes sense. But in terms of like the day that we reconnected, it was just a full like upside down.
Yeah. Stress says, been subscribed for a while now. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. Awesome to see you two live. Have a good stream. Thank you very much. We will do our best. So far it's going quite well, I think. But yeah, glad to have you supporting the channel. Top FJ says, can I manifest health for someone else and improve someone else's self-concept? Yes, you can. No one has free will in your reality. You'll just step into a reality in which their health and self-concept and everything is where you want it to be. So yes, you can. And in all honesty, I would advise it. I've said it in a couple of my videos as well. What you put out, you get back. And this is actually something that I've been trying to work on at the moment. I'm not the best at it because I have very much a bullying personality. I like to taking the piss is just my thing, and I've been trying to notice when maybe I'm being a bit like mean, not to Katie. Katie still gets the full extent of my bullying, but for like other people, like where normally I would sort of make a joke, I've been trying to cut it in because I just remember like what you give out is what you get back sort of thing. So I'm like, well, I'm trying to work on all of that. But in the same vein as that when you give out good stuff, you also receive good stuff. So I always say about doing stuff unconditionally and all that, because you'll always receive something in return as a result. So if you're focusing on like great health for someone else, you're giving out that kind of energy of good health, you'll find yourself also improving on good health, which is why a lot of the times people that will like overly mock other people or be extremely horrible and rude to other people, you'll often find that they're also living a life of misery. It's because that what they give out, they're getting back. So yes, you can manifest for someone else, and I would advise it, because if you're manifesting money for someone else, you might be struggling. You never know, you might find some money coming in for you too. And if you don't, even if you don't end up getting anything, at least then you can have that kind of inner joy to know that you were there to help someone else. So you can, and I advise you do. Abnea said hi with loads of eyes. Howdy, howdy. Stress says, what do you guys think about manifesting a new person altogether instead of an SP? I hear a lot of people talk about how they want someone back or they have someone in mind. Is new just the same? Yeah, the same process would apply to new person, ex person, friends with benefits, just a friend, someone you don't know, someone you've never met. It doesn't matter. Most people come back here because most people do find LOA in some form or another, whether it's like the law of attraction community, law of assumption community, or anything like that, or even just people like that follow like the Bible and stuff. They often come here under the pretenses of breakup. So this is why the specific person videos are the most popular, which is why you'll find a lot of channels do end up doing a lot of those kind of videos, myself included. I've noticed accidentally that a lot of my recent videos have been specific person one, and my channel is growing extremely well. So it's one of those like catch-22 things. It's like, I don't want to algorithm chase.
Like that is a manifestation in your audience, though. If they're searching for that kind of content, then you're gonna start creating it because that's what they need.
I suppose, yeah, you could argue that. But anyway, back to the original topic. So that's just why sort of people back is the most common thing, because someone in the state of being extremely hurt and heartbroken, they come here, they find the content, and then they stick around for it, trying to get their person back. And then there's that element of, because they know they can get their person back, they never actually heal and try to move on to someone that actually may be potentially better for them. So there's that kind of weird, it can happen, but is it the best thing for you kind of situation. But that's just why it's all specific person back stuff. But the same process does apply whether it's new, old, all the things I listed earlier. You can still manifest someone that you don't know, someone brand new, a friend into what you want. It doesn't matter at all. It's all the same process. Well, it's the same process in terms of convince your subconscious mind that you have them, but in terms of like how you'd go about it might be slightly different. I.e., if you don't know them, yeah, if you don't know them, then you would probably just go, I'm in the most happy, loving, committed relationship right now, or the relationship of my dreams, but you just miss out that it's with a specific person, for example. B says, hi, if I see huge difference in my figure skating practice, when I get into full energy and perfectionist vibe, I'm sometimes mind blown, but I can destroy all limiting beliefs that are in this industry about what is or isn't achievable in a short period of time. Yes, absolutely. So you will have this notion that it's unachievable, and that's why you would end up accidentally abiding by those rules. If you wait, like as you grow up, for example, and you hear over and over and over again that like, for example, you can't play basketball if you're 6'7" or less, sort of thing. You'll often find that 6'7" people or less just won't bother trying, but that's because they have this assumption that they can't because of what they've heard. That doesn't mean that it's set in stone. That doesn't mean it actually 100% is true. It just means you're abiding by the assumption that you've kind of gathered over time. So in terms of what your thing is with but can I destroy limiting beliefs that are in this industry about what is or isn't achievable in a short period of time? Yes, you can. You just start telling yourself that new story. You start telling, I don't know exactly what it would be that is achievable, because I don't do like figure skating, but XYZ thing is extremely easy for me to do within X amount of time. Or I am the best figure skater. It was figure skate, you said, not ice skating, right? Or have I just completely fucked that up? Yeah, figure skating. I'm the best figure skater I know, and I'm the only person I know that can achieve XYZ within this amount of time. Whatever it is that you're trying to work on, you can change that assumption and therefore have the experience. Stress says, I feel like manifesting a new person is more difficult because you have to generate their vibe or image from scratch. So it's already vague to begin with. I would actually disagree with you there, because you can create anything. So let's say, for example, you know that you want your person to be blonde. You know that you want them to be, I don't know, 6 foot tall. I don't know, like your type. Let's just go with blonde and 6 foot tall. You can write that down and start telling yourself, I'm so grateful to be in this relationship with a blonde 6 foot tall man or woman. I'm so grateful that my person is blonde, like whatever it is. I know that's obviously a bad example, but you get what I mean. You can create that image and then just have that. The reason why I believe it's actually easier to manifest someone new than an ex is because there's no opposing story. A lot of the time, you'll find that people struggle to manifest exes back because they're fighting that constant, they broke my heart. What if they don't want me? What if they move on? And they're constantly battling this old story of like, what ifs, you know? And like a lot of the time when someone does get broken up with, it takes a hit on their self-concept. So you'll find that also while trying to manifest someone back, they're also trying to build themselves back up as an individual. So they have the old story to fight, they have the current 3D to fight, and they have their current self-concept issues that may be there to fight as well. So trying to navigate all of that and manifest their specific person from a reasoning logical standpoint, I feel is harder than manifesting someone new. From like the process of LOA and your subconscious mind pushing out there, they're both just as easy as each other. But from like our logical reasoning mind trying to understand and impress our subconscious mind with that, I think it's harder, because a new person, all you have to do is focus on you already being in that reality and then live your life, because you haven't, unless you obviously you feel a bit lonely being single, you haven't really got that old story of they don't want me anymore. If you've healed from your previous breakup, or if you've never had a boyfriend, hopefully you wouldn't have had a self-concept knock. You won't have to really work on your self-concept unless it's already poor for other reasons. So I feel like there's less for us to, I just accidentally spat on my screen. I feel like there's less for us to try to navigate past from a logical reasoning standpoint when you're manifesting someone new than there is for when manifesting someone back. Because I do find a lot of the people that come to me looking for someone to get back are often a lot more difficult to help on a day-to-day basis than the people that are just saying, oh, I want someone new, could you help me out? And it's mainly because they're saying, oh, I feel really bad because I missed them, or oh, I feel really left behind. What if they move on? What if I'm not good enough? And it's just that kind of stuff.
I was just going to say, I think as well with the like manifesting a brand new person that you don't even know yet, you have the like biggest potential to create exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah.
With like a particular person, they already have a particular set of mannerisms that you have to go against and fight against to tell yourself that they are not that kind of person. Especially if like you have been in a relationship where it's not actually been the best and you've both sort of like fallen apart, or maybe it's a friend who, you know, you've watched treat their partner like crap before and you're like, oh, but if I was with them, I'm going to get, you know, treated like crap like they were. So I think with, manifesting like a brand new person, you can create the exact person that you want. You can create it down to like not just appearance, but how they treat you, how they speak to you, how they text you, how they like make you this breakfast, like without having any like things to go against. Because if you were with somebody before, or you were, you know, you've seen somebody before and you've watched the way that they behave and the way that they act, and you know, maybe you go to a restaurant and they're quite rude to the waiter, you've got all those assumptions adding up in your brain. You know, they're a rude person, they're not going to speak to me with respect, or they treated their last girlfriend like she was, you know, just a thing, they're going to treat me like I'm a thing, you know, like you have all of those kind of assumptions. Whereas when you are starting afresh, starting new with someone you've never met before, you can create that exact person and have them stumble into your life, and then it feels like, you know, fate and like all of that kind of stuff. You have a Ray.
My favorite one. Oh, she's gone. But yeah, so hopefully that helped. Summer says, you're a very helpful, or really helpful coach, by the way. Thank you very much. I'm glad to hear it. Glad to be helpful. Marcelo says, good afternoon, at least for me. It is the evening for us, so good evening from us. Manifesting something related to my specific person can erase our past. I would like to reconnect with her like we haven't known each other before. Okay, so this is an interesting one. Ow, fuck my toe. Kick the table. This is an interesting one, as in, this would be more in the line with revision. Now, I actually personally don't use revision all that much, but essentially you would sort of revise the way that your relationship went. Now, trying to recreate SP and my friend, oh, hang on, I read the wrong one. And now manifesting something related to my SP can erase our past. I would like to reconnect with her like we haven't known each other before. Unfortunately, I don't feel like that would be entirely possible. Now, the reason being is because you will have these pretense of your relationship already. You will already have it stored in your mind that you have met them before. Now, you could imagine, you could manifest it as if like, You can manifest it as if like nothing happened before in terms of everything is perfectly fine and it's like a brand new start sort of thing. But in terms of if you did actually mean as if like she was like, "Oh, who are you? I've never met you before." I think that would be very difficult to do because you would already have this natural assumption of like the two of you together. You'd have this memories and everything playing against you. Oh, really? She knows. So it depends on what kind of outlook that you're looking for. If you're trying to reconnect with her from like a blank slate, and it's like everything's just neutral until you make something of it, then yes, absolutely you can. But if you mean like straight up, she just forgot who you are, then I don't think that would be possible purely under the basis of, you would have the memories of you two together. And we know that what you think, they'll also be thinking in line with. So yeah, it doesn't really fully answer your question, but hopefully it answered it enough. I don't really know what else to say on like the topic though. Emma says, trying to recreate my SP, and my friend says something really negative about my SP, saying he may be a liar or something. I started spiraling and thinking it may be true. I told her I don't want to discuss him with her anymore because she was trying to give me unsolicited advice. What should I do when a friend says something triggering about SP? Ignore them. You know that you're the operant power. You know that your thoughts create. I think it's interesting that like one comment from your friend sort of knocked you that much, which is something that I would advise looking into, because this kind of shows that you don't have that trust in yourself, because otherwise you'd be like, no, that's not true, because for me he's XYZ, and just move past it, you just ignore it. But first off, I would say if your friend does say something like negative about SP or triggering, just ignore it. Your thoughts create, so what you think is what matters, not what your friends think. And the second thing is obviously work on building that level of faith in yourself, so that you know that even if, for example, their thoughts did create, or even if like what they were saying was actually true, you know that regardless, you can change your reality. You have that faith and trust in yourself to be able to change that reality. And yeah, that's about it, really. I think when it comes to like, it'd be the same thing as a 3D circumstance, really, where it's just like you see it and be like, oh, all right, whatever. Then it doesn't matter to me because I'm in this relationship, or because my SP is the way that I want him to be. You wouldn't take it as gospel for your life. You would just be like, whatever. You have your opinions, or you have your things you want to show me, but I have my reservations with it, or I have different things that I think. H says, Matt, I've been doing okay. I inadvertently visualized how my SP cheated on me, and I was intense on that spiral. I'm stable now, but do you think that spiral would mess it up? I think it's one of those things where we all have spirals, and what matters most is how you go on from that spiral. If you start panicking about the spiral itself, then you're adding more power to that spiral. So obviously, I'm not in your mind. Sorry, I got some in my eye as well. I'm not in your mind, so I don't know how like bad that spiral was. I don't know how good your like positive thinking is separate from that. So I can't really tell you whether or not that spiral would have messed it up. But regardless of whether it did or didn't, circumstances don't matter. So even if it did mess it up, you can still go forward from now thinking the right stuff and get your desire.
I think as well you can tell yourself that it didn't.
But that was the other thing I was going to get onto as well, is that like if you start panicking about the spiral itself, you're going to create more of it. So if you just either let it go or simply say to yourself, like Katie said, that it didn't do anything, it doesn't matter because it's not true, then that'll be fine. But you don't want to be spiraling about a spiral, because you're just putting yourself in a very big spiral.
Yeah, I think it's important in those moments to actually just take yourself away from the scene entirely, like in your head, in your mind, in your body. Just take yourself completely away from it and go back to it when you're feeling more like yourself. Because I think what happens to the majority of people when they do spiral is they turn from their self, who's, logical and like normal, like their normal self, and they go to their sort of irrational, crazy, panicky self. So I think that when you're spiraling and you are that version of yourself, it is better to just fully remove yourself, the spirally person, take them out, do something else, wait until they disappear, and then go back to it as your logical self.
Yeah, exactly. Kiati Saxina says, I want to manifest doing my best at work and my manager to praise me. Then you start thinking yourself of that. If you start thinking that to yourself that you are doing the best, your manager has praised you, you deserve all the praise, you do more than enough work to be praised, all of those kinds of things, you just create that sort of reality in which it has already happened by claiming to yourself that it's already happening and seeing yourself as worthy of it already happening.
I'm just going to go and get a drink.
Okay, no worries.
You need more?
No, I should be okay, thanks. Izzy Perez says, hello, I've been a fan of yours for a year now. Wow, thank you very much for supporting the channel for so long. I have tried to manifest my SP for over a year now. I was wondering if you have advice how to take him off the pedestal. So often we find when we put someone on a pedestal, or at least from my experience and that of a lot of my clients, there's sort of two main reasons why we don't think we're enough, or we think that they're too good. So obviously, based on your own process and the way that you see yourself, it would be worth looking into that. So is it because you feel like you're not good enough, as in like, oh, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not unique enough, I'm not interested enough? Or is it because you feel like he is like too good for you? So, oh, he's so attractive, oh, he's so interesting, something like that. And kind of see where that lies, because he can either be on the pedestal because you've placed him up there, like you might have quite a good self-concept, but you see him as just like really up there. Or it might be that he's up there because you see yourself as so low. He might not even be that high, like let's say a 5 out of 10 in your sort of overall view, but you see yourself as like a 2 out of 10. So depending on where you are on either one of those scales would be worth working on. If it's because he is like way too out of your league because you view him as so good, often we find that we view people that way because we think that they're the only one. We think that they're unaccessible, or there's not any more of them. For example, let's say that I have £10 and I split that between 4 rocks. And then I destroy and I split the quantity of the £10 between these 4 rocks. Each pound is going to be about £2.50. If one of those rocks suddenly gets destroyed and the rest of the 3 rocks have to make up that £10, all of a sudden each rock becomes £3.33. And then if all of a sudden another rock gets destroyed, each rock will then have to become £5 each. And then if that second rock, or if the second to last rock gets destroyed, all of a sudden that singular rock has to take up the entirety of the £10. So we see here that the less available, the more the perceived value. So if it is because you see him as up here because he's just like an absolute god in your eyes, one thing that I like to start doing is, and it sounds kind of cruel and it's a bit of a strange way to go about it, but it's what works for me, is to start understanding that there are literally millions of other people that are just the same. Like if Katie was to break up with me, she could, in theory, find another 20,000 exactly like me and vice versa. So I'm in trouble now. So in the grand scheme of things is when you realize that there is actually many other people out there that could give you that same treatment, that are just as attractive, may not be the exact same, but on that same level, you realize that this is just a person in a world of billions. And that's kind of the way that I like to reduce something's value. Obviously, that may not work exactly for you. That may be something that you kind of feel a bit uncomfortable doing, but it works really well for me is when I realize that it's only so valuable because I only see that as the only one available. But if there was more available, then all of a sudden it's not so valuable. And that can kind of like reduce it in your head. It kind of does this like subconscious thing where it's just like, oh yeah, why am I so stressed about just this one person when there are billions available? And the way to sort of like bridge that gap, if it's you don't feel worthy enough in yourself, ask yourself why. So why don't I feel like I quite add up to this guy? And then start claiming yourself the opposite. So if it's because you don't feel attractive enough and you think that he could get so many other women that are just absolutely mwah, then you know that you can just be like, no, I am like that. I'm more than attractive enough for him. He's lucky to have my attention. You can start flipping the script like that. And over time, you'll start bridging the gap because you'll no longer see him as so above you, because you either see yourself as the shit in comparison, or you now see him as actually just like, oh, actually, you're really not all that. And then you're coming from a state of choosing as opposed to needing. I have a very backwards brain, by the way, people. So if there's some of the things that I suggest, they work really well for me, but it's worth trying in your own lives. But then Izzy also says, by the way, your transformation over this past year is incredible. Bravo. Could you briefly explain your daily manifestation routine? Well, first off, thank you very much for the kind words. I do agree. I watched some of my older videos like a week or two ago. I clicked on them just to sort of see what the content was all about. And I was like, oh, fucking hell. I don't like these videos. But my daily manifestation routine. So a lot of my stuff that I do is in my head because obviously with the kids and Katie around. So I kind of wake up, depending on the day. If I've had a good start to the day, we'll go with good start, just because obviously we're not going to sit here talking about bad stuff. If I have a good start to the day, I'll sort of like while I'm doing stuff, just do a couple of affirmations about how the day's going to go, or how I sort of generally feel, or how everything works out in my favor, just those kinds of things. Then I'll do, when I get home from taking the kids and when I'm sort of like sat on my own, I'll do a daily manifestation, a daily gratitude journal. So it's literally just one page of things that I'm grateful for, some things that exist now, some things that I'm working on. So for example, one of them is that I'm so grateful to be so loved and adored. I'm grateful that all of my videos are widely accepted. I'm grateful that I have so many new and returning coaching clients graciously paying me for my services, just things like that. So I sort of have a mix of what I am actually grateful for and what I want to happen that I would be grateful for, as though I'm experiencing it now. And then depending on the day, if the house is sort of free because like Katie's at work and the kids are at school, I'll kind of, while I'm doing stuff like the washing up or putting the washing out or whatever, I will start affirming out loud the things that I'm most sort of interested in, like changing. And then in the evening, I'll kind of, if I'm working, sometimes I put my subliminal app on. That's also something else I do actually as well. I do put my subliminal app on when I do my coaching, my email coaching. If you're wanting the subliminal app and you're on Apple, you can get it for 15% cheaper in the discount code that is also going to be in the description of this video, or it's in the description of any one of my videos. So it's definitely worth getting because I use it. And then sort of throughout, like just as I'm falling asleep, I don't really do too much in the evening. I like to wind down in the evening, but as I'm falling asleep, I try to either do a visualization or affirmations, but sometimes I do just conk out. So it depends. But that's sort of like my general day to day. And I'll find that I do act as if. So if I'm thinking about money and I'm like, oh, I've done some research on videos and stuff. I'll be, oh, okay, I need a better camera. So I'll go onto Amazon and I'll find my most highest quality. And even if it's like really, really expensive, I will, I'll just get that next time I get paid. Even if I don't intend to, it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, this is a very expensive camera. But because I'm saying I can just get that when I next get paid, kind of claiming to myself that I'm going to make sure that I have more than enough money to be able to get this camera. So I kind of do a lot of acting as if. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Flipping thoughts if and when necessary. Summer rain. Oh, hang on. Did I skip someone? Oh no, Stress says drop to like. Thank you very much. It really helps the channel. So if everyone else who hasn't liked yet could like, that would really help. Summer rain says, thank you, Katie. Amazing. That was so helpful.
You're welcome.
Jesse says, what is your opinion on Askformations or affirmations? I think they're good. It's one of those things where you wouldn't be saying it if it wasn't true. Sort of like, why is it raining? Because it's raining. Why am I shorter than I should be? Because I am. That kind of stuff. So it's bad genetics. So I think Askformations and affirmations are really good. And I think the best beneficial thing about them, which I think is, well, it's not overlooked because the people that talk about them also talk about this factor. But I think people that don't use them, I think the thing that they overlook is the fact that Askformations are asking a question and your logical reasoning mind has to look for answers for it. It's the same with anything. Even if you don't know the answer, you'll still try to think of it. Like if someone was like, oh, why is the sky blue? Even if you have no idea about how it actually is blue and why it appears blue, your mind will still start trying to make some sort of answer up. And it's the same thing with anything else. If you ask, why am I in the most loving, passionate, committed relationship? It will try coming up with some answer to prove that point. So I think affirmations are actually really good. I don't use them much anymore just because I kind of got used to my normal affirmations, but I definitely used to use them a lot more than I do now. So I would recommend them. We have a lot of comments. Holy shit.
Yeah, there is.
But hopefully that helps. Random name says, woohoo, finally a day off again. Hey, glad to have you here. Marianne says, hi, Matt. How are you? I'm very good. Thank you very much. How are you? It's the Rose says, hey, just wondering, been seeing 111 a lot lately, but should I give it much energy? Because I heard that if energy is given, then it's reminding you that it's not there yet or something. Do I make sense? Yes, you do make sense. And I actually do agree. Now, if you like to use signs as that kind of like, oh, it's on its way, then use it for that. But I wouldn't overextend into any kind of sign just because, like you said, that is evidence that it's not here. I wouldn't be like, oh, yay, I finally saw Katie's name on a whiteboard. This must mean she's coming if Katie was already in my life. I'd kind of be like, oh, I'm seeing her name everywhere. Fuck off. I see you at home, So signs are good if you want to use them for good, beneficial reasons. But I would advise to just, be like, oh, okay, that's cool. And then go on to continue with your end result because, like you say, your end result isn't here yet. So while they are exciting, they shouldn't be, you going, oh, yay, I'm done now. Monica Santos says, hi guys, just got home from work and it's nice to catch you here and I got news. Oh, what's the news? Also, glad to have you here. Aditi says, Matt, please just elaborate in detail about how did you manifest your desired behavior with Katie with a detail like how was Katie behaving before and after. So a lot of like Katie's behavior wasn't actually, a lot of the problems in our relationship wasn't Katie. It was mostly me, to be honest. I was a bit of a twat. I was going through quite a bad time mentally. There's a whole backstory behind that could probably take the entirety of this stream's hour. So it's probably worth leaving that behind. But a lot of the issues that Katie and I were having was actually my own fault. And a lot of the stuff that Katie was doing was more just my assumptions based on my own actions. So the thing that I did to sort of have the change in the relationship, because it was the relationship dynamic that I wanted to change more than Katie herself, was I just started claiming to myself that the relationship was already that way. So, like I said, with my affirmations of being in the most loving, passionate, committed relationship, that was literally my relationship, my affirmations that I was telling myself over and over was just that we are in this loving, passionate, committed relationship. You know, that implies that it's loving, that implies there's passion, that implies that everything is going well and that it's committed. And whenever something happened that I didn't like, whether it was a way that Katie reacted to something, whether it was the way that something had just come up in the 3D that I didn't like, I would kind of just accept it to be what it is. I was kind of just like, it is what it is, you know, and then I would change it in my head. And it's not always easy to do that. I do it with a lot of things, but not everything. Sometimes some things will kind of trigger me that little bit more. But it was mostly a fact of telling myself that things were the way that I wanted them to be, whether it's through affirmations or just kind of scripting about stuff. I know back when Kate and I got together, I had quite long scripts. Um, and then it was more just like, oh, I'm seeing something that I don't like, but it's fine. I'm not going to associate with this. And instead, I'm just going to tell myself a whole different story as if it's true right now. And just over time, things changed. And I know, obviously, you asked me for like a really detailed version, but that is all it was. I was proactive with creating affirmations, and then I was stopping myself from being reactive by just accepting things for being what they were in the moment, but telling myself that my experience was something different. And I just stayed true to that until it eventually happened. It's not the easiest thing. Well, I know when your specific person is being a certain way and you want them to be a different way, it's very difficult to look them dead in the face and say, this means nothing to me. I'm fine. But if you do want that experience, that's kind of what you got to learn to do. Is to, oh, I've got to stop fucking kicking the table. You got to start learning to be anti-reactive, stoic, for want of a better term. Top FJ says, how long should I affirm for one desire? Do you mean like overall or in like a session? I think if you're going to do just one desire and it's like something that you really want to impress into your subconscious mind, sort of take 10 minutes at a time. So 10 minutes and then maybe like later on in the day, do another 10 minutes and like really focus on that one affirmation or that one desire. If you mean like how long should you be affirming before you believe that it's done, that's entirely sort of down to you and how you feel your process is going. Because if you're affirming for 10 minutes a day, but then spiraling for like half an hour, then you're going to be spiraling for more than you're affirming anyway, which means that you'll probably not be feeling too good anyway, like in yourself. So it depends. But for like a one sitting, I would say that 10 minutes is quite a good amount, and then sort of take a break or do whatever it is that you want to do and then come back to it like later on and do another 10 minutes. If we could stop the comments as well, because I have got so many to get through, and it's already the 45-minute mark. So we'll try and get these done before the hour so that we can start heading off. Because as usual, we haven't eaten. And we actually didn't have a lot for lunch either, which is making me very hungry.
I did. It was a buffet because it was my dad's birthday. So I ate loads of buffet. And Matthew ate one tiny plate full of buffet.
I just wasn't feeling it, you know. I was like, oh, okay.
It was all like the food that you don't really like, though, to be fair. Not very much of it was like beige party food.
Beige. Marianne says, have you guys got any tips on how to visualize? I struggle with visualizing. I actually have been working on a worksheet. So I basically just feel like I need to do the most now that I'm full-time self-employed. So I've just been working on like worksheets and shit just for the sake of it. So if you actually want my visualization worksheet, if you drop me an email at lawofassumptionsbackdoor@gmail.com, I haven't changed the email yet. I will get around to it. I can send you the worksheet, but I can give you a brief answer here as well, just in case you're not interested in the worksheet. When it comes to visualization, get clear on what it is that you want to visualize. And I know it sounds stupid, but there's been times when I've literally gone like, I'm going to visualize money. And then because I don't have a clear scene in my head, I get distracted. I start thinking of other things. I don't know what to visualize. So get clear on what kind of scene that you want to visualize. Then get clear on the sounds, the smells, the touches, the tastes, if there are any kind of senses that will be involved in your scene. Get clear on those as well and what would be incorporated into your scene. Some things won't have certain senses. For example, if you're visualizing yourself working at your new job, you may not have that taste sensation because you might not be eating anything while at your desk, for example. But incorporate as many of the senses as you can into this scene. Now, for visualization itself, I recommend that you do get into sort of a comfortable, relaxed state and let your mind go into an alpha brainwave state, which is sort of like a meditative state, a relaxed state, because that's when it's a lot easier for you to direct your focus without it going left, right, and center trying to think of other things. And then start looping this scene in your mind over and over. And when you start to wonder, bring that scene back. And keep doing so until you feel it's done, until you feel like you've actually experienced it. If you find yourself wondering, like I said, bring it back. If you can't make the perfect scene, like if you can't see it clearly, that's perfectly fine. You know what's going on in that scene. You know what the scene is implying. Your main goal is to just keep looping it back until you feel like it's done. and then when you can either fall asleep to it, or you can do it for X amount of time until you feel good and then go about your day. But I think with visualization, for me personally, the best thing to do is make sure that you're in the right state of mind, which is that sort of relaxed state of mind.
I also have a couple of tips. So I don't know if like you watch music videos, for example, but if you are trying to visualize a love scene, and this might sound super goofy, but just so you know, for example, what is a song that's like really lovely with a music video? I'm trying to think of one now. Romeo and Juliet by
Taylor Swift.
yeah. Okay, so in the music video, there's like a scene, I'm pretty sure, where they are like running, she's running down the stairs or something, he's running in the garden, they're running together. So if you're really struggling with visualization, take yourself like away, sit with your eyes shut, and maybe even listen to that song, but just imagine you as Taylor, other person as person running across the thing, and just put your face in that scene. Just put your faces on those on those people's. I know it sounds really stupid, but I feel like it's a really good place to start. Or if there is like a scene in a movie, for example, where a guy, I don't know, he's like throwing cash up in the air and he's like, yes, I'm so rich, put your face on that person. And just keep doing that with like all different things. And eventually you will build up your imagination, because some people don't really have a very good imagination. Some people just are much more, you know, hearing kind of people, or much more like writing or whatever it is. So if you are really struggling with creating an actual scene, put yourself into scenes that you have seen of people living your desires, and then go from there. Once you start doing that, you will then be able to put your face on your own body doing your own thing, but you need to build up your actual ability to use that part of your imagination first.
Yeah.
And that might sound really strange, but I think it definitely works.
Exactly. So give that a go.
I don't feel very well.
Go upstairs if you want.
I might.
Monica Santos says SP movement again. He said he adores me like we used to day when we were together, and I also got movement in my career. I am in 2 interview processes that are going well, both for the position I wanted. Well, congratulations for both. That's really cool to hear, and you're going to have to show up next live stream and let us know how it goes. Really happy for you. Top FJ says, I don't want to affirm all day. Then don't. If you don't feel like it's going to be beneficial for you, and if you feel like you're going to get diminishing returns, then don't do it. You don't have to affirm all day. You just have to be dominant in your affirmations and ensure that you're being in the new state more than the old. Jen Medak, apologies if I said that wrong. I swear I've been doing so good manifesting and keeping on it, but yesterday when we were chatting in my office, he said the third party was such an amazing woman. I was not affirming this. Tips, please. This is all old thoughts, old story playing out. I don't know how long you've been like doing your work for, so I can't really give you much advice based on that. But anything that you are experiencing is a reflection of your old thoughts, of your old sort of assumptions, or anything that you've been dominantly dwelling in the past. Which means the tip here would be to do your best to look past it and to not give that situation power. Your old 4D becomes your current 3D, which means your current 4D will become your future's 3D. So if you let this thing sway you, if you dwell in this, if you really accept it to be your truth and like, oh my God, he like loves this woman, he adores her or whatever, then you're going to be dwelling on it, creating it for your future 3D if you over associate with it. Whereas if you just simply say, oh yeah, the old me was thinking that, maybe that's why it came up, for example, or the old me was thinking something that's reflected out in this way, then you can just be like, it doesn't matter because that's all old shit. And I know that's all old stuff. So now I'm going forward with the new story. Breathe through it if you ever find yourself thinking about it and you can't really take your mind off. And yeah, that's it. Essentially it. Just don't let this be the deciding point. It's all old story. So don't let it be what stops you from continuing to persist. If you continue to persist in your new story, you will experience that at some point in time. Random Name says, I find most people commonly start their LOA journey go something along the lines of desires SP, realizes that SP is a mirror, loves SP, realizes the importance of self-love, focus on self, letting go of SP. Did you say any more? Yeah, kinda. I think it's definitely something along that kind of lines. It either goes that way or they learn about SP and then basically destroy themselves internally trying to force the SP movement instead of being like still and letting it come to them by focusing on that story. But yeah, I feel like that is a pretty accurate way for someone that's done like a healthy LOA journey. Beatrice says, if you get different answers from tarot readings, what should I do since the current energy is not conclusive? Obviously, do you want to take this one?
Yeah. Quick question. Have you gone for 2 different tarot readers, or have you gone to the same one over again in a very close period of time? So basically, if you get different answers from tarot readers, what should... Okay, so one of the things with tarot readings that you should never do is ask the same question twice in one sitting or in one sort of like time, because when you are overly searching for answers, all you're going to do is just confuse the answers that you're given. So if you're going, you said different tarot readers, so if you're going to 2 different tarot readers at the same time, asking them for the same thing, you would have got one slightly before the other, and you're, like kind of messing with that idea of, here are your answers, but I want more answers. So it's kind of hard to explain, but essentially what you're doing is putting too much focus on like the answers. I can't explain what I mean, but basically you shouldn't really go like, you shouldn't overly ask questions on the same topic, because it means that you're not accepting what you have asked for. So you're not accepting the answers, therefore you're searching again for like more answers. And what normally happens is it ends up just being like a big confusing mess of like all of the answers that are possible coming in one go. So I'd say the best thing to do is to just go for one reading, stick to that one particular reading. The other thing with like different tarot readers is what the cards that you got. So the cards that you get from tarot readers, they have many different interpretations. So if the cards themselves are different, it could very well link to the same subject. It's best to stick with like one person, because they will ask and follow the same track. So like, for example, if you get like a card for one answer, for one like answer, it will more often than not connect to the other cards that come into the reading, and they all follow one kind of track. And actually a lot of cards sort of cross over with their answers and stuff. So I'd say the reason is just that you're making it too much.
I think in a very brief way, what Katie was trying to say is that, like, well, she didn't quite touch on this, but I think what she meant, like, should have been added, was your energies are shifting constantly. We're always shifting states. So if you go to someone and ask them a question, and then you go to a different one and ask them the same question, like at a different time, your state and energy will be different, which means it'll be picked up differently. Is that kind of...
Yeah, so it will be. But yeah, essentially as well, what can happen is that you can just literally get muddled over the answers, because if you like, for me in particular, if I'm doing myself a reading and I get an answer, if I don't like that answer, I'm not going to ask again to try and get the better answer, because quite clearly it's showing me that I'm in the bad state anyway. So if I get like a bad answer to like a particular question, I'm not going to force it and keep going, oh no, I want a better answer to this. Like, it's one of the worst things you can do, because you're just pushing yourself further into that bad state for getting that bad answer in the first place.
Hopefully that helps. Satyam says, suppose today I wake up and wanted to make 2 girls fall in love with me. What would I affirm today? 2 girls fall in love with me, or 2 girls are in love with me? Does both work? Yeah, they would both work. 2 girls fall in love with me. Or yeah, actually no, 2 girls fall in love with me. That was worded strangely. 2 girls fall in love with me. 2 girls fall in love with me. No, I think they're both fine. 2 girls are in love with me. So 2 girls implies that they are already in love with you, and 2 girls fall in love with me sort of implies that they are falling. 2 girls fall in love with me. Yeah, I think they're both fine. If the way that like they're sort of registering in my head, they both sound current/past tense, so I think they're fine. H says, sometimes I'm so angry with my SP that I wonder why I'm manifesting her back while resenting her. Okay, so that I understand, considering obviously what you've put like in past streams and stuff. But that kind of attitude, not attitude, but that kind of like mentality behind it might be what's holding you back. Like I said earlier, what you give out, I don't know if you're in the stream at the time, but what you give out, you'll also receive. So if you're giving out resentment, then there's not much, that's not like a loving energy that's going to end up bringing someone back in, because it requires balance, you know? So it's not the easiest thing to do when you've had like a bad experience with someone, but try to forgive them, try to forgive yourself, and try to move past them. Simply just see them as another human that made a mistake, and that like everything can be okay, that kind of thing, and forgive them for it. Because when you give out forgiveness and love, you'll end up receiving forgiveness and love, and it'll be a lot easier for you to manifest your person if you're coming from that place of unconditional love as opposed to resentment. Stress says, thanks so much for the help, I really appreciate it, you're very welcome. Derek Tickle says, from a woman's perspective, is it possible for you to go back to your ex after you've already moved on? We have a long history and an uphill climb, but I want to believe she is still love in her heart. She still has love in her heart. This is obviously for you, this one.
Yeah, so there is absolutely nothing stopping you from getting your person back. If you believe like that she has love in her heart for you, she will definitely still have that love in her heart for you. And yeah, pretty much like it's the same thing that applies to everybody that asks that kind of question, that no matter what is going on in your current 3D, you can still have your person, you can still get your person, like with just, sorry, I feel really ill.
You go upstairs after this.
No,
Is fine.
it's okay. But yeah, no, I just keep stumbling over my words today. I keep going bright red hot. But yeah, there is absolutely nothing in your way, nothing at all. So just because she has moved on doesn't mean that she loves this person or is, deeply involved in this person at all. She will still have those feelings for you as long as you believe that she will. As long as you hold it in your heart that she definitely does, then yeah, she will. And she will come back to you if you stick to the story and not wonder, if she can still love you because she's moved on and all of these kind of thoughts. You need to remove the energy completely from that person and just take it out of your head. And I think another thing that you should kind of stop doing is searching for like a woman's perspective on this, because you're in a way then saying that just because she is a woman, she is not held by the same rules as manifestation, which obviously is not the case. And like, I think obviously you're searching out my opinion to sort of like feel comfort that I'm telling you, yes, she can still have feelings for you, but you should know that in yourself already, kind of thing. You should already be sitting in that position of, I know she still loves me, I know she is with me, I know we are together, I know we are moving forward. And you shouldn't have to kind of like seek out the sort of validation of it being from my perspective because I'm a woman, because then you're adding in like another barrier, if that makes sense. You're like adding in that extra step, like she is a woman, so therefore I can't just manifest her back. You're kind of putting that like she's moved on, so she doesn't still have feelings for me, sort of thing. So I think that you just need to really sit with it and bring it back and just remember your power. Remember how like you can do whatever you want to do. You can create whatever you want to create. So of course she still loves you. Of course she's coming back. She's already come back. Like, and yeah, just take that moment to like really remind yourself that you don't need other people to tell you she's coming back. You already know she is.
Yeah, obviously I get why people want Katie's perspective, and it is fine to ask those questions. The only thing is kind of what Katie was saying is when you require the validation from a woman to say, yes, a woman can come back to you, you're then giving your power away to not said woman, obviously not giving it away to Katie, but you're giving your power away to the external person saying, I don't believe I can do this, so I need to make sure that someone else says that I can do this. So it's fine to ask the questions because that's obviously what the stream's
and
for.
I'm more than happy to answer them.
Yeah. It's just when you do ask those questions, you've allowed yourself to need validation from the external. And if you need validation from the external, then obviously you'll be constantly being repeated by the external. But hopefully Katie's answer helped. If you want to just go upstairs, it's fine.
I think there's a question for me lower down. There's something about the Taylor Swift thingy that I said lower down.
All right. you can either go and I'll call you back down, or you can wait till then.
Oh, sorry, I'll just wait. Sorry, I've just gone like really like hot and dizzy and stuff, and like my cheeks keep going really bright red, and every time I speak, I seem to like not like get out of breath for some reason. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Marcelo says, I mean, like, if we just reconnect like we met again, not specifically erasing our history, but getting the same energy and vibe we had in the beginning. Some things were bad in the past, that's why. Yes, you absolutely can do that. Absolutely. Kate and I have a very similar thing. Even though the past is still even though the past is still like brought up on occasion, as in like, oh, remember when this happened or something like that. The vibe between Kate and I is completely different about what it was back then. And you could argue it was like a fresh start. So yes, you absolutely can, and our relationship here is like proof of that. Random name says, hey, for anyone feeling strong resistance and emotions against your manifesting, I recommend EFT tapping. It helps with rewiring the brain and helps with building new thought patterns. I used it to help me with the abandonment issues, and I find it much easier to calm down and redirect my attention. There you go. If any of you haven't tried EFT tapping, give it a go. I've actually never personally done it myself, but I have heard good things from it. So I give you all I give you all.
I think it's a very good grounding technique, isn't it? It's very good, like bring yourself back to the current sort of self.
Yeah. Aditi says, thank you, random name. Kiati says, how do I stop myself reaching out to my SP while manifesting them back? I'm good for a few weeks, and then out of nowhere, I get a sudden urge to contact them. And to be honest, this isn't working. What's not working? And okay, so the how do I stop myself reaching out to my SP while manifesting them? I know you're going to hate this answer, but it's literally just don't do it. I know it sounds so stupid, and I feel stupid saying it, but it is literally that, like, you are in control. Like, that's the thing. If it's like inspired action, you'll end up doing it without even really considering it. You'll like have that intuitive thought and you'll do it. So if it's like intuitive thoughts and you don't take it, then obviously then you're a doofus. But if it's like fear-based thoughts and you choose not to do it, then you've done yourself a favor. But the argument is you can just not do it. Like, you are in control of what you do. You can control your hands, you can control your mind, you can control when you pick up your phone and text. So the how do I stop myself reaching out? You just don't do it. As for the I'm good for a few weeks now, I know where I suddenly get an urge to contact them, and to be honest, this isn't working. If it's an urge to contact them and it's entirely inspired, like it was like an inspired action, you feel good doing it, feels like it's the right thing to do, obviously only you can know if that's the case, then go ahead. But if it's fear-based reaching out, then I wouldn't advise to do it. But if you mean this isn't working, as in the manifestation process isn't working, stating that to yourself is obviously not going to help you manifest them, because you're openly stating it's not working. Therefore, you must be in an experience where it hasn't worked.
I just wanted to add in something on that. I think that when it is inspired action and it needs to feel not just good and like a good idea, you need to have this complete genuine reassurance that absolutely nothing can go wrong from you doing that. And you need to be so sure of that that you don't even question it in your mind. Like, I have obviously experienced that going to like Matt's house that morning. It was like nothing even crossed my mind that anything could even slightly go wrong. And he said something to me when we first like met up that completely threw me off and shocked me that he could possibly say that, because my brain was like, there is no way that anything can be even slightly wrong or even slightly like distasteful, or do you know what I mean? Like there was nothing could go wrong, everything would go perfect. And it's not just like, oh, I feel good about this, it's I feel sure about this, I feel 100% certain that this is exactly what I am doing right now, and it's exactly what needs to be done right now.
Yeah, exactly. Dev Courteous says, when you detach and move on from the person, why do they come back? Because you're no longer outcome dependent. I've spoken about this in a few videos. And when you're outcome dependent, you're basically saying, I'm in need of this. And you're not trusting, like, to use, for one of a better term, to use scripture. You're not having faith in God to do it for you. You know, it's like when you pray, believe you've received it and you shall have it. God makes a way when there isn't a way. Those kinds of things. This is all implying that, like, when you are, like, outcome independent, you're basically in need of this thing, you're getting in the way of this thing, you're not just trusting the process to know that it's going to happen. You're not saying, I'm going to do my affirmations here and then go about and do whatever I want for the next 2 weeks and know that it will come. You're solid on the outcome. And that's why when you give up, when you detach, when you walk away or withdraw, whatever terminology you want to use for it, it comes, that's because you are no longer getting in the way of your subconscious mind and pushing it out. That is when you're no longer feeding it this story of, I need it, I need it, I need it, give it to me. And you're no longer in that, I don't currently have it. And you're just letting God do his thing, subconscious do its thing, universe do its thing, because every single scripture verse says, basically, in one of a better term, well, sorry, not better, paraphrased, of course, let God do it for you. Give your give your prayer out and then sit back and relax. Stand still and you'll have it. That kind of stuff. It's all saying just chill, just relax, basically. So that's why when you detach, it often comes. Summer says, Katie give you them eyes when you said you could get one better. Yeah, I said the same. I didn't say better. Oh, did they? Jen Medak says, why were you shaking your head, Katie? Lol.
Because he can't. He's got me and only me and will only ever have me. And I refuse to accept anything other than that. So there you go. You can move up to a different reality then.
I'm on it. I'm going to fly away.
I'm keeping this one.
Summer Rain says, no, better think you said another like her. Yeah, that's what I said.
But there's no one like me anyway.
So. Dev says, what's the point of manifesting when you lose interest? That just bothers me. Well, I don't understand this mindset. Like, nothing against you, Dev, because I've had this from so many other people as well. So many people are like, I don't want to detach because I'm scared I won't want it anymore. And it's like, well, if you don't want it anymore, that means you are free from the attachment that you currently have. That's like saying, okay, let's use a completely different example. Let's say you're in prison, yeah? And someone says the best way to the best way to spend your time in prison is by sleeping it off. Let's say sleeping off in this instance is letting go of like your specific person or letting go of the attachment. And you say, no, I don't want to sleep it off because then I'll lose the experience of prison. And then obviously as a result, getting your sentence over with quicker. And people will say, but I'm scared to let go because I don't want to do it. It's the same thing as saying, I'm scared to go to sleep because I want to experience prison. It's like, I'm scared to let go because I want to be attached. I want to be outcome dependent. I want to feel like shit while trying to manifest them, as opposed to letting go of the detachment. And then if it comes, great. If not, I'll be free from it. It's like, it's something that I really don't understand. And like I said, it's not just because of you, Dev. Like, I've had this from so many people. I just don't understand it. Like, if I was manifesting Katie, and as I've said many times, my words before the day before were, if I get her, great. If I don't, so what? That's because I had finally allowed myself to be free. And the result of that was I got Katie. If I didn't get Katie, the result of that would have been I would have been free to move on. I could have picked anything, anyone. I could have done whatever I wanted, you know? So when you say, what's the point of manifesting when you lose interest? That just bothers me. If you lose interest, you are now free to manifest anything else. If you spend X amount of time doing affirmations for a specific person and then you just get bored of them, you now know that manifesting, you can use it to get the next person that will be just as good, if not better. Or you've honed your manifestation skills. The point is you've done all this manifestation practice. You know what's worked for you and what hasn't, and then you can take it on for your next desire because you're always manifesting. So it's not what's the point in manifesting when you lose interest. It's what's the point in consciously manifesting, because we're always doing it anyway. So why not utilize it and learn from it? And then if you get bored, you now have the skills to go off and do it with something else or someone else in a better way. So I personally do not understand that kind of logic. I don't understand the idea of focusing on what you want as though you already have it, just in case you get bored. If it doesn't make sense to me. So I can't really give you a good answer to that, but hopefully my analogy kind of made you understand where my perspective on it is. Izzy says, thank you so much. This was very helpful. You're very welcome. Dev says, can you make a video on you reacting to this video called The Truth About the Law of Assumption? Yeah, can you write that down, please, Katie? Just so I actually was gonna do a reaction video a long time ago, and a lot of people said that they weren't interested in it because like reaction video at this time, like when I said this, reaction videos were like really popular. So I can definitely do it if people are interested. I'll probably put a poll up before I do it just to see if like people do like it. Reacting to The Truth About the Law of Assumption. Who's it by? If you could just add it in. Jade Lamb says, dang, I feel so empowered. A classmate who I've not talked to in years just wished me happy birthday. That's cool.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday. Dev says, then dissolve all the bullshit the guy says about LOA. I will do my absolute bestest. Marianne says, okay, I'll email you. Great, I look forward to it. KAB says, hey, what Katie said with the visualization with Taylor Swift thing, how do I do that if I can't visualize?
So I was going to say, if you can't actually visualize, I would say it is worth thinking about how they are feeling in that moment. So if you are like, you could even watch a video yourself, or like when you get really emotionally involved in a film and you're like empathizing with the main characters and stuff like that, and you're like, oh, if I was in their shoes, I would feel absolutely amazing right now. That's amazing, like such good news, blah blah blah. So I'd say do that instead. If you can't actually visualize, like actually just kind of put yourself in their position and be like, if I was that person running across that field to the person I'd love, like I would feel such like a big a big like wave of like pure excitement and happiness and love, and like sort of feel into the scene that you're watching as if you are the person. Or the other thing that you can do is list out everything that you would be thinking, feeling, doing if you were the people running across the field into each other's arms, kind of thing. And write them as if you are experiencing that in that moment, sort of thing.
Yeah. Hope that helped.
I think that is a very good way of doing, like getting into the sort of like state as if like you're watching a character go through something. I don't know, maybe I only just get really emotionally invested in programs, but like I can really sort of like sit there in that moment and be like, oh my god, like if it's like when you're watching a horror film and like they've got kids and they're like trying to run through a field while zombies are coming and stuff like that, and it's like you can just put yourself straight in that like panic.
Spin the kids.
But yeah, you can do that with like you can't spin the kids. You can do that with any scene. Just like imagine yourself in it. You don't necessarily have to visualize yourself there if you cannot visualize, but just literally like your heart would be like pounding and you'd be like so excited and you'd be running towards them, and like you can really sort of sit in that kind of, that's me doing that while you watch it on a screen kind of thing.
Yeah. Jen Medak, apologies again if I said that wrong. Okay, I see what you mean. The old story is just playing out. Let it finish and not give power to it. Okay, thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully it'll help. Beatrice said different. Oh, that was to answer the other one. Kumo says, do you guys know Alan Watts? If so, do you think his teachings could be used with the law of assumption? I've heard of the name, but I have not seen anything. So I will have to ask me this again in the next stream, or comment it afterwards, and then I'll watch something and then like respond to your comment. But I, off the top of my head right now, I couldn't answer you. H says, your response made me cry. I hopefully in a good way. Dev says, it's okay, H, you've got this. H says, Katie, your point of view as a woman, I very much appreciate by us men who are striving to be better and the best. It is helpful, but you just got to remember that everything comes from within you.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to like definitely continue answering your questions from my point of view. Like I'm definitely happy to, but just don't have it so that you are relying on my answers, because if I said something you didn't like to like one of your questions, that could completely throw you off your manifestation. If you are relying on what I'm saying as like gospel, like what you were thinking should be what you are relying on, sort of thing. But I'm definitely happy to continue answering questions.
Yeah. KB says, how are okay, Katie?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm just really, really cold. Like I don't know why, because it's not particularly cold in here, but I when you go shivery, and I think I'm really pale, but with really rosy cheeks. I feel really like pale. I don't know if I am. Maybe it's the lighting.
I don't know.
Who knows?
Marcelo says, thanks so much, guys. I think I manifested you to show me how I should do things right. Well, I'm very glad to help. Hopefully next live stream you'll be saying that things are going amazing. Random Name says, forgive me for the comment, but the EFT tapping is used to treat anxiety, PSD, and is recognized as a treatment for it. Best part is it's free. Laugh my ass off. Countless videos are on YouTube, or you can even create your own EFT script. Well, by all means, people, go check it out. If you're struggling with situations, give EFT tapping a try. Random Name recommends it. H says, Matt and Katie, as much as my life out of my desires is going great in terms of gym, general vibe, my SP story sometimes makes me cry blood too. So you both are awesome and resourceful. Sorry, I went to read your next comment, but that's something completely different sort of topic. Well, I'm glad that the videos help, and they kind of are a bit more of like a safe space and stuff, and the live streams are here for you to talk and ask questions and everything. I'm glad that it helps you out, really. Obviously, I know that things suck. I know that sometimes things are hard. So I'm hopefully that you'll be able to one day have the success with your specific person if you had with everything else. And then H says reaction videos are gossipy. So to some degree, I do agree. To some degree, I agree. Yeah, to some degree, I do agree. I wouldn't do a gossipy one. I would just sort of say, "Oh, here's where my opinion is on this," or "Here's how I think maybe he meant this," or something like that. I wouldn't really sit there and be like, "Oh, well, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about." It's just not really in my vibe to post that kind of content out there. I don't think. I kind of did that with the Sammy Ingram thing a while ago, but then I actually just said like, "Here's why you shouldn't feel bad," as opposed to saying, "Oh, Sammy's wrong." But yeah, but I'll consider it. I'll probably do a poll and see what people think. Pratyush says, I'm manifesting my desired college and I did well in the exam and persisted for 2 months living in the end, but today's result was out and I failed that exam. 2 hours later, management of college called saying that there is a glitch in our website and we'll be back on the 30th of January with results. Is it a transition period or what do I do? I feel demotivated for my circumstance. If anything, from my perspective, you should feel motivated. If you got a failed and you know that you're persisting and now they've said that there was a glitch, then this could potentially be where your persistence come from or is leading towards, sorry. So what you should do from here is to continue persist in the idea that you have the result that you already want and that the glitch is going to reflect that. Dev said it's by Jamie Barclay. Okay, I'll probably check it out after this and then do a poll about the reaction video. KB says, thank you, Matt and Katie. You're very welcome. Kumo says, I'll comment after this live ends. Okie dokie. And says, at Dev, Jamie, I thought it was made by D's. Oh, no.
Okay. I wrote both down.
I don't think you needed to write D's down.
Oh.
Jade Lamb said, oh, that's tickled me. I don't even know if that's going the way that I think it's going to go, but oh, chat disconnected and please wait while we try to disconnect you. Successfully connected. Oh, I've never had that before. We got disconnected apparently. Jade Lamb says, Katie, I recommend tea with honey and ginger. It helps with a cold and you can add lemon juice in it to make it more delicious.
Oh, I will try that.
You could do it afterwards.
I don't know if I have. I think I've got like green tea.
I don't know.
I don't know.
And then the final comment is Jen Medak says, thank you guys. Now go eat, Matt. Well, Katie needs to eat as well, but we shall do. Before we go,
I think I get the other thing.
Before I go, I just want to ask Kumo, is D's the channel? Is there anything like additional to it?
Or is it a joke? And did I write it down?
You wrote it down. I'm pretty sure it's a joke, but I just want to see what he says, just in case it's not. But I clicked my leg. We'll give you like 10 seconds. If you haven't responded, then I'm just gonna end the stream. 3, 2, 1. All right, thank you everyone for showing up for today's live stream. Thank you very much, Natty J, for your donation. I really appreciate it. And H says much love. Yes, much love to all of you guys, and have a good rest of your days, mornings, evenings, and everything. And we will catch you in the next one. Go watch my other videos and like them. Bye.